Ladies and gentlemen, this was not only a cataclysmic disaster in terms of an intelligence failure, the same revered intelligence community that Democrats and the American political establishment worship. This wasn't only an unmitigated disaster. This is an example, a grandiose example of why you should never blindly trust or really even listen to the wonderful experts in in the hierarchy of the American intelligentsia, atop the hierarchy of our unintelligent intelligentsia. We have the least intelligent intelligentsia that's ever existed. These people are the Keystone Cops of completely failed policies. They're always apoplectic, they're always demanding obedience and an allegiance, and that you listen to their expertise, and that Trump was a Russian operative, and that, oh yes, there was WMD 20 years ago, and oh yes, everything's gonna be fine. You know that May 1st timeline from Trump. Oh, Trump, the person who pressured Zelensky. Don't you miss pressuring Zelensky, Democrats? And everyone else. Don't you think that was a better time in this country when Trump was pressuring Zelensky to investigate his direct political rival? Yeah, better time. We had record low unemployment. Much better time. I'll deal with Trump's tweets than the absolute unmitigated disaster of what's going on now. It's all Biden's fault. Of course the country was going to fall. Nobody is saying it wasn't going to fall. It was an intelligence failure, one of the endless intelligence failures. They didn't even predict the fall of the Berlin Wall. These people are not experts in anything. They're political operatives that are always wrong. The Gulf of Tonkin was an intelligence failure. You could look at every era within U.S. history. There's a massive, catastrophic intelligence failure. These are the same people that tried to set up and frame an incoming president. And that people should, oh yes, you know. They never charged or indicted Trump with anything because they lied for 4 years. They had this hysterical, paranoid reaction to losing to Trump. They couldn't stand getting defeated by the Orange Menace. So they turned him into Orange Julius Caesar. And we had a much better world. Biden's America, if you compare Biden's America, soaring crime, inflation, economy in the tank, foreign policy catastrophes, this being the fall of Kabul being one of the worst moments in American foreign policy history. The reason is because the May 1st timeline, we could have already been out. We are leaving billions in armament now. We've basically given billions in arms sales to our adversaries in Afghanistan. And instead of simply abiding by... So you have these people on Twitter. I don't have Twitter. But you have the Lincoln Project people. You have the apoplectic, wonderful, morally superior liberals who blame everything under the sun on Trump when it's their fault. Bush, Cheney, Rumsfeld, Biden, Clinton, Kerry, the American political establishment that Trump opposed, that opposed Trump, everybody from, I'll add Bernie Sanders into that. I used to be the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post. The unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post. I went from Bernie Sanders to Trump because President Trump brought us out of that region of the world. It was Biden who completely bungled and messed up a negotiated deal that would have at least given us time. When you talk about the embassy, when you talk about the billions in armament left there, we would have had time had we simply abided by the timeline, the May 1st, 2021 timeline. Yes, the country would have fallen, just like Saigon fell, just like what we learned in Vietnam. The French learned before us. This is a counterinsurgency conflict. I've written against counterinsurgency conflicts. In the Hill, the Huffington Post, Salon, and the Jerusalem Post. Hit subscribe to this channel. Get this, we're almost at 184,000 subs. We're on our way to 200,000 and beyond. It's because of you. If you want to give a super thanks to the channel, the super thanks is right next to the share and like button. If you want to support my work long term, my Patreon is below in the pinned comment and my website. But this was an intelligence failure. And God, first of all, God bless the men and women who sacrificed so much, who lost their lives, who lost loved ones, the disabled American veterans, the people who have been injured, men and women who've been injured, whether it's hearing loss or knee injuries or back injuries. God bless you. We love you. This country can never repay everything that you've done to protect us, to keep us prosperous. What's happening in Kabul right now has nothing to do with your bravery, sacrifice, courage. God bless you. We owe you infinitely better than the buffoons and imbeciles we have in our government, who are completely inept. They to spite Trump just so they wouldn't abide by his May 1st deal. A peace deal that the United Nations Security Council, countries throughout the region agreed upon. The adversaries now taking over the capital and every city agreed upon. It's not about that they would not ever engage in their own interests. Of course, you think Pompeo, I'm not a fan of Pompeo that much. I'm not really a fan at all of Pompeo. I like Trump very much. Trump is fantastic. But you think Trump and Pompeo, they negotiated a deal with the adversaries in that country, morally superior Democrats? Do you think that they believed that the country wouldn't fall? It's not a matter of the country falling. We knew that 20 years ago. We knew that from history, from Vietnam and every other counterinsurgency conflict. It's impossible. There's no military objective when it comes to hearts and minds of human beings in another country, another culture, another land. The United States military, according to Daniel Bolger, who wrote a book called Why We Lost, must win quick, decisive military victories because we can overpower any other military. Other than that, you can't stay for 10, 20, not even 2 or 3 or 4 years. We knew the country would fall. It has nothing to do with that. The reason it's 100% Biden's fault is that to spite Trump, he said, we're going to go to the September. Why? His intelligence people, and by the way, the link will be below, he didn't even agree. He didn't even decide on whether to actually fully commit to a withdrawal as late as March of 2021. Then he said, "Oh, well, we'll just go in September. We'll go to September." Wait, why? Why? What was the reasoning? Because you couldn't give Trump a victory. You couldn't have it his foreign policy accomplishment. That's why I went from Bernie Sanders to Trump. I want Americans home from never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts. That's what drove me. It's on the left. They don't care. They talk about empire. They don't care. They're not anti-war. I know the left. I was on the left my whole life. They're not. They care more about words and what you said 10 years ago on Twitter than all of this. They keep voting Democrat, and the Lincoln Project, Bill Kristol, Rick Wilson, all of these people who were opposed to marriage equality, who said the most vile and horrendous things over the years, they oppose Trump, so therefore they're good people, and so then, this unholy alliance of Bush Republicans and Democrats and the far left. This is why we have the world we live in today. They obsessed over pressuring Zelensky or him being a Russian operative or him causing January. Then indict him. If you think he caused January, charge him. Indict President Trump. Indict Trump. You can't because you have nothing. You can't indict him on being a Russian operative or pressuring Zelensky, causing that horrible day in January. You can't do his financial crimes, labyrinth of criminality in his tax returns. You have nothing on Trump. You are petulant. These people are petulant opportunists who revere authority when the authority bolsters their existing biases. That's it. They don't care about truth. They don't care about, if they cared about the country, they would just say, okay, May 1st, That's the deal. That's the deal that was agreed upon. If you abided by that deal, you'd have enough time to evacuate, make sure that billions in armament don't get to the adversaries in that country. You would have had time for a withdrawal that wasn't rushed, where you didn't face the prospect of absolute catastrophe. And now it's an unmitigated disaster simply because they wanted to spite Trump. And this is like a lot of things. You hear the smartest people in the room giving their absolute categorical, commands on every topic under the sun. They're always wrong. And when they're wrong, they say, well, they move the goalposts, and, the fact check. Nobody believes the fact-checking organizations anymore because they just serve as a rebuttal. A fact check is not a rebuttal. Simply being the last person to issue a counterpoint or rebuttal in an argument doesn't make you a fact checker. You're not fact checking. You are trying in a vapid public relations way to say, oh, it's not exactly true. It's missing context. No, it's not. Actually, it's possible, Democrats and fact-checking journalists, to actually have a context different from your own. When you say that something's missing context, what you mean is it's not addressing the context I find valid. Sorry, that's what an argument and debate and discussion is about. Different viewpoints coming from different contexts. But this is an unmitigated disaster. It's 100% Biden's fault because he's not a leader. Whatever you want to say about Trump, that he's a despot. No, he's a leader. He wasn't good at communicating his vantage point. And he surrounded himself with people who perhaps weren't loyal to him, and he allowed the system to trap him in many ways. But the guy was a leader. The man is a leader. Bernie Sanders is not a leader. You know who's a leader? Pelosi. Not that I'm not a fan. Not a fan. Pelosi's a leader. You know who's a leader? Not a fan at all. Hillary Clinton is a leader. Biden is not. Trump is a leader. Bernie Sanders is not a leader. When you have people who don't know, have zero leadership skills, they get consumed by the inept, the warped or bad advice of a system around them. So now you have, who knows what Biden really thinks about anything? You think that he decided on September to withdraw? You think that does he decide on anything? Is there no? He had the intelligence experts and all the experts telling him, from Enron to Bernie Madoff to WMD to Clinton winning a landslide to all the polling experts, none of them are right about grandiose things. They're right here and there, but they're complete failures when it comes to wisdom. They lack wisdom. Anyway, another intelligence failure that said September was better than May, even though everyone in the region, including the adversaries they are now taking over, agreed on May. Had we simply gone through the withdrawal, would the country have fallen in July or August like now? Yeah, but we would have been out. Get that in your minds. And most educated people in the room, we would have already been out. Now, so many risk the worst fate possible because everything is rushed, because you wanted to spite Trump, because you pressured Zelensky. Even President Zelensky of Ukraine said he never got pressured. God, we are run by the biggest imbeciles who've ever existed on this planet. Hopefully soon. Well, 2022 is around the corner. So we'll have Trump Republicans, people who actually understand and know how to govern. Trump knew how to, Trump was a leader who governed. There was the resistance but you know what? We had record low unemployment. He got the Supreme Court and federal judges. He did a whole bunch of things that he was there to do. Democrats are completely inept. They don't know how to govern. They have every single possible advantage, propping them up from late-night talk show hosts to social media algorithms. They suspended the New York Post. And you have, look, Hunter Biden's life is where this country is going. Look at his life. You look at Biden, his son. This is like a blueprint for the country now. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now. Another intelligence failure. Give me your thoughts.